My last year in office, we put together a playbook for how to deal with the eventuality of a pandemic.
Whoa, Obama's in the news, and many are wondering, did he just say the quiet part out loud, admitting that his administration helped plan the pandemic? Welcome back to the JP Reaction. I'm a beautiful, free and loving friend. This is where we like to call it the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters, because truth does indeed conquer. Speaking of tyrants, Barack Obama, Michelle Michaels' husband, is out on the campaign trail for the failing Kamala Harris, which means he is saying words out loud. And we all know that sometimes when the tyrants are saying words out loud, they'll say the quiet part out loud. Sometimes I believe it's very intentional. Other times it's because they're stupid. So Obama was making a speech at a Kamala rally, packed with 27 people, most of which probably paid to be there. And he was talking about how his administration had a playbook to deal with a pandemic. Now, we all know about playbooks these days. When they're authored by tyrants, it's like, yeah, you have a playbook on how to deal with what you wrote in the other playbook. We're not stupid. With the pandemic, we all know about Event 201. We'll take a look at some of those highlights in this video. But first, let's take a look at what Barack Obama was saying. Now, keep in mind, part of what he's trying to get at is we had our playbook. No, it wasn't planned. We just playbook to deal with a thing our psychics told us was coming, okay? And Obama's trying to make the claim that if President Trump would have just taken his playbook, we would have saved over 400,000 lives. So those 400,000 dead people, that's Trump's fault. That's what Obama's trying to get at. And our job is to, one, get curious. Is that a lie unto itself? And is he saying the quiet part out loud, but by the nature of him saying we have a playbook to deal with a pandemic that we've never had, is he suggesting he's part of the plan? Tune in and find out.
My last year in office, we put together a playbook for how to deal with the eventuality of a pandemic.
The eventuality of a pandemic. I love the certainty that these guys have. Yeah, you made it pretty eventual. I mean, it was very eventuality-like. By the way, Obama's top scientist, Anthony Fauci. Cool. Funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan, China. Cool. With the exact virus that caused the pandemic. Well, technically, Fauci didn't fund it at all. He was funding another company that was funding it. So Fauci was funding it. His top scientist. Okay, the eventuality. He just speaks with a level of certainty. We knew this was coming. We know that you knew it was coming.
Because scientists had been saying with...
Which, by the way, you gotta love that white dude for Kamala in the back. It was for that guy. Let's rewind. He was talking about scientists.
Because scientists had been saying with globalization and travel, etc., rising populations, that at some point there was going to be a pandemic.
That's what scientists were saying, okay? Remember, his top scientist, leader of the NIH, Anthony Fauci. That's what they were saying. Now, if we live in a world for a second where we pretend COVID wasn't analogous to a flu and pretend like, yeah, it was a real pandemic. It wasn't caused by globalization or travel. It was caused by his top scientists literally creating the virus that infected people. So he forgot that part. If we're fact checking here.
And so I said to my team, I said, we got to have a plan, just like you do for hurricanes or tornadoes.
Yeah, their plans for hurricanes have been working out swimmingly.
Natural disasters. So we put together this whole playbook.
I love it when globalists use the word playbook. It's my love language.
And we practiced the playbook. We get all the agencies. This is how we're going to respond. This is how to make sure that the public health systems in all the states are working. Here's how we're going to think about the schools.
Like any of that was successful. Like, cool, we just screwed up kids' development for 3-4 years. Yeah, I'm glad you practiced that. You probably should have just winged it. You would have been more successful.
And when Donald Trump came in, we gave over this playbook to them. And
yeah, but I don't know what the person in the audience said, but there's a real good chance that President Trump saw a real good reason not to use his real pre-planned playbook. There's a reason why President Trump is deep state enemy number one. We could go out on a limb and suggest the whole pandemic thing was orchestrated for the benefit of the deep state. So it would kind of make sense that President Trump wouldn't want to go along with that playbook. We'll get back to the video in just a second, but first I want to tell you about a little trick that I do every night that essentially hands me more energy the next day. I find one of the biggest obstacles in all of our lives is poor sleep and poor energy. But a quick and easy solution that takes no extra time that works to solve this problem is putting on a pair of Bond Charge blue light blocking glasses. Glasses work by blocking the blue light at night that's all around us, from the indoor lighting, your computer, your TV, your phone. Because unchecked, that blue light signals to your body, hey, it's time to be awake, which suppresses your sleep hormones, the exact opposite thing that's in your best interest at nighttime. And also another trick of the trade, you want to check out the Bond Charge Blackout Sleep Mask. Anytime I need to sleep past the sun already being up or nap, this is my key to being able to do it. The Blackout Sleep Mask has a complete darkness guarantee, and with fully adjustable, hollowed out soft eye pillows, it's exquisitely comfortable. And if you want to give yourself more energy while taking no extra time to do it, you just put them on. Go to bondcharge.com/JPReacts. And while you're there, be sure to use the discount code JPReacts to get 15% off everything Bond Charge offers. And also, if you like extra savings, you'll be glad to know all Bond Charge products are HSA, FSA eligible, giving you up to a 40% tax-free savings. Enjoy, because I know I do. Now back to the video.
But the point is, he ignored it.
Did you see that white dude for Kamala? We gotta let's check that out. That's important. Watch him.
And 3 years later, a pandemic hits. Now, I want to really be fair on this, but I want everybody to pay attention.
Yeah, I want to be fair to Barack. So Barack wouldn't pre-plan a pandemic just to influence the 2020 election, would he? You know, mail-in voting, just ballot boxes. You know, you can't do in-person votes. It's so dangerous. Biden won by 27 billion votes. That's what he won by. So he wouldn't pre-plan a pandemic to influence an election, would he? He wouldn't do a coup against Biden in this election to try to influence an election and install Kamala, which was a dumb choice. But nonetheless, Barack wouldn't do that. Nor would he have anything to do with what happened on July 13th. Like, he wouldn't do things to influence an election because he's not telling us he would do that. So I assume he wouldn't. I assume he did.
No matter who was president at the time, this was going to be a problem. This was a generational pandemic.
If we're just kind of like truth detecting for a second, it's going to be a generational pandemic. Well, the flu season happens every year, and we look at COVID. How many people did COVID kill? It's tough to say. It's not as many as they told us we're gonna, and over 94% of people that died with COVID died with an average of 4 or more comorbidities. So right now, he's coming from a place of, this was a severe pandemic. It'd be different if he's saying like, hey, we thought it was gonna be big, but it was like, turned out to be like way less severe. This is a guy who was advocating masks and things, and he's seen at parties not wearing a mask. So, you know, actions speak louder than words. That would suggest he knows it wasn't like a legit thing. Yet now he's talking as though it was a legit deadly thing. People lost their lives because of President Trump. Why I bring that up and point that out is that suggests that he is currently standing in a field of lies.
People were going to get sick. People were going to die. We didn't have a vaccine right away.
Oh, now we talk about that. Cool. And then the one you got, how many lives has that taken? How many has it saved? So he brought that up. And at this point, if you give that thing the benefit of the doubt, you would say, yeah, it's not effective. It's not. And if you look at it with even an ounce of more scrutiny, you have to ask the question, how many lives has it taken?
Businesses were going to have to shut down for a while. Travel was going to be restricted. But if you look at a country like Canada, their per capita death rate was 40% lower than it was here in the United States.
Wow, I doubt they're as obese with as many comorbidities, but he is praising the country, the Chinese Communist Party of Canada. He is praising that country Canada was on the leading edge of totalitarianism with the pandemic. By the way, they took a lot of ground. They haven't given an inch back. That scares the hell out of me. That just makes me more suspicious. Pre-planned, not just playbook, but pre-planned pandemic, Barack. Like, the more he talks, the more guilty he looks of doing crimes against humanity. And by the way, he was rubbing under his nose, which is a sign of discomfort. Study body language, look into it. It's lying.
Do the math. That's more than 400,000 people. People's grandmothers, people's fathers, people's moms.
He knows the names of a lot of different relatives. This is a smart guy.
Who would have been alive if Donald Trump had just paid attention and tried to follow the plan that we gave him?
By the way, the camera person's probably having a vaccine reaction right now, just stroke.
It might have been somebody in your family that could have been impacted. So if somebody tells you that this doesn't make a difference, having somebody competent, somebody who cares about you, who listens to ordinary people, who listens to people who are experts in these areas, if you hear somebody say it doesn't matter, it does matter. And at some point, it will make a difference to them.
Oh, Barack, you're pretty good. I admit, I don't know if he's reading off a teleprompter. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not. He can say words out loud, which is so refreshing to see a Democrat doing that. Biden couldn't do it. Kamala can't do it. Well, she could say words, but it's like, they'd be better off if she couldn't say any words. So it is refreshing to see a leading Democrat seemingly running for president. Again, he's like, bro, I'm still president. What's between you and I? So that part's refreshing. The rest, it makes me very creeped out. So this whole pre-planned thing, wow. That's a great playbook you have. And just on October 18th, 2019, just a couple months before this super deadly pandemic broke out, Barack's, by his own admission, we ran simulations. So this was event 201 on October 18th, 2019. Let's watch just a small clip of it and see if you can get the gist of what this whole thing was about.
We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic. And there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business and governments working together.
We have known about caps-like viruses in animals and people for decades, but have not been successful at developing a licensed vaccine.
Wow, is that what everything has been about with these people? By the way, they still haven't been successful with that. And if you're saying, well, JP, you're just getting crazy, you know, they're good. They knew this was coming, so they practiced what to do about it. And granted, they practiced insanely ineffective strategies that were all totalitarianism, authoritarianism in nature that have been proven ineffective, but that's what they practiced. You're crazy, JP. This is a good thing. These are good guys. Well, I don't know if anyone's told the World Economic Forum lately, but they should probably take their Event 201 page off their website because it just makes them look more guilty. You'll be happy to know World Economic Forum had a big hand in Event 201, and what you see here, this is right on the World Economic Forum website. Live simulation exercise to prepare public and private leaders for pandemic response. The world has seen a growing number of epidemic events, amounting to about 200 per year. So, like, now we're pretending it's something new? Pandemics could cause average annual economic losses of 0.7% of global GDP. Event 201 exercise will bring together public and private leaders, a lot of private ones, by the way, to inform multi-stakeholder cooperation for pandemic preparedness and response. And you can follow the live virtual exercise if you use a time machine. Oh, by the way, let's just read the next paragraph, mention some heavy hitters. The Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, in partnership with the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, will host Event 201, high-level simulation exercise for pandemic preparedness and response. So, in conclusion, Barack at his recent White Dudes Who Are Black for Kamala campaign rally, where he's talking about his pandemic playbook that he developed and is criticizing President Trump for not adopting it. My conclusion, I think he did say the quiet part out loud. I think he assumes people are either too stupid to put 1 + 1 together and get 2. He's like, no, people are used to 1 + 1 = 4, okay, because that's what we say. But to me, there's just too much evidence in hindsight, and when you look at all the things in the moment, too much evidence that this is pre-orchestrated by a little bit of a globalist agenda. And World Economic Forum, boy, that is just the pulse of a nice globalist agenda. An organization of very unelected leaders, by the way, that Barack Obama is very much a part of. And by the way, keep in mind, he is not an elected leader. He used to be. So with that said, Barack Obama, here at Awaken with JP, we see you, buddy. Thanks for saying words out loud. Helps us see more of what you are. That's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I look forward to checking that out. And I look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, keep thinking for yourself.